Week 8, the final week of the season. We start with a really fucking solid matchup in the Redwoods and Whipsnakes. My locks for this game on Redwood side have to be Pennell and Jones. Those two, and TD Erlin, I'm sorry. So those three to me, Pennell has done nothing but do awesome. TD has done nothing but do awesome. And Jones had a bit of a down week, but I wouldn't expect that to push you away from him being that consistent lock that he's been. Other guys who I think are viable, Kavanagh, Jules, and Perkovic. I would expect Jules to have a bounce back week. I really do like him. I think Cav is solid for a goal or two and maybe an assist or two. So maybe about 2-3 points out of him. And Perkovic has that boomer bust, so if you're looking for that, he's been pretty hot recently, so he might be someone to run with if you're really looking for like a number two guy who could possibly be number one, really push you over that edge. On the other side of the ball, I don't really have too many locks here. A lot of moving parts in terms of Gutterding, Zed Williams. I like those two. Brad Smith, Jay Carlson. In terms of some other scoring, I like Jay Carlson just because he gets goals. I like Zeddy, but he's been a little cold recently. I think the addition of Gutterding is going to be good. Brad Smith has been by far the best midfielder. Earnhardt, I think, just for his ground balls, is always viable. I do like Nardella, but against TD Erlin, it might be, who knows what's really going to go down that game. I do like him in another matchup this weekend, though. Defensively, Bryce Young and Dunn. I don't think that too many people are viable on the Redwood side, but I think Whip Snakes wise, you could definitely use Young and Dunn, especially in terms of cause turnovers. I think that they're viable defensemen, especially against the Redwoods. For some reason, they just love to play against them. The next matchup is Archers Chaos. My locks on the Archers side, you could probably guess them. I have Ament, Kelly, and Manny. I like Stephen Kelly in this matchup just because Chaos continues to struggle at the face-off dot. So and Kelly has done very well this season against lesser opponents. So I think that that's a good matchup. Guys who I think are viable, and honestly, I think that they're very high value in this game, just because Archers are kind of fighting for their lives. Yeah, they might have clinched, but they want to go in hot. They've been pretty cold the last couple weeks, besides the one prior. I like Schreiber. I like Hasek. I do like Ratliff as well. It depends on what your league looks like, LSM to defensive wise. I think they'll both do about the same though. And I like Gittleman. I think Gittleman will do very well. On the other side, I still have Byrne as a lock. I think no matter what, he fucking eats. I like Troy Ray. I think no matter what, he pretty much eats, especially playing that much defense and plays Reardon, obviously playing all that defense, will do well as well. Cloutier has been pretty hot, so if you need someone to score some goals, he could definitely do that. Dane Smith is always viable. I think low number 2, high number 3 type of midfielder. And then defensively, I can't really give you a specific one between Rowlett, Surdick, and Newman. And to me, it's kind of in that order of top to bottom who I like. After that, we have the Atlas and the Water Dogs. I really like this. I think this will be a great fucking game in general. So if you're having some boys over, this would be the game to put on to get them into lacrosse. Atlas, Teat and Costabile to me, that attack and midfielder locks. And then defensively, I think Cade Van Raphorst is. I kind of like Trevor Baptiste. He's not a lock, but I do really like him against Jake Withers. I think Law is obviously another guy you could use, that tandem of attackman. Caraway as well. That whole. They're not locks to me, but I think that they're obviously very fantasy viable. Craig Chick as well. He's kind of neck and neck. It just depends on that LSM role if you need him. I really, really, really like Rex Road as well. I think that the Atlas honestly have a very good fantasy team. And then on the Water Dogs side, my locks are pretty fucking extensive, man. McArdle, I think, is a lock in this game. I've just got a good feeling, he's one of the highest scoring players on the team. I think Brown as well, especially if goals are worth more than assists in your league. Brown does nothing but score goals from McArdle. And then Courier, because of his mixture of points, goals, assists, calls turnovers, ground balls, everything that he does on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, he's extremely valuable. And Liam Burns defensively, I think he has the most caused turnovers in the league. Therefore, you got to play him no matter what. Connor Kelly, I like. Ethan Walker has been hot and cold, but he's got 2-4 points in the last 4 games. Rylan Reese, I think LSM wise is also very good. I like him. Probably not as much as Ray, but more than Ratliff, if that helps you. I really like Igai Gobrecht. Gobrecht, yeah. Whatever, he's right around Liam Burns as well. This defense is really fucking good. I like him just as much, if not more, than Rex Roadman. And I like Burns more than I like Cade Van Raphorst, let me tell you. And I also like them more than Young and Dunn. Withers, I think that you could use him in this game as well, man. I don't know. Like, it could go either way. I have my money on Trevor Baptiste, but if you're going Withers, I don't think that's the worst move, And Dylan Ward, he's been hot, so I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to say that you could use him this week. I think until he gives you a reason to not, I would use him. I wouldn't. He's obviously not my first go-to. I kind of like Troutner and Reardon and Atlas have been having some injuries. In the next matchup, we have Cannons and Chrome. I think I like Morocco more than I like Ward, but I think you could use Ward if he's like your 4th or 5th option. Moving on to the 4th matchup, I believe there's 6 this week, so we got some fucking ground to cover. We have Cannons versus Chrome. My locks for the Cannons, Lyle Thompson, Stephen Rafis, and Brody Merrill. Those 3 to me. Rafis being an extremely good rookie. I have Rabel as I would play him. If he's on your team, play him. If you have the ability to put him in your lineup somewhere, I think that he has to go in. I think that he's really dying for that bounce back week. I think that he could do it against the Chrome. I like Merrill just because of the ground balls, and he's got a good amount of caused turnovers, but I still really fucking like Jake Pulver. Jake Pulver is right there for the lead of caused turnovers, so a lot of viable guys on this fucking Cannons offense, defense, and fucking everything pretty much but face off. Morocco, I think you can use. I like Rafis because I think that he'll play well overall with Lyle and Rabel. I think that they have a fucking game this weekend. And on the other side, my locks are Jackson Merrill and Joel White. Joel White to me is the number 1 LSM in the league fantasy wise. So if you have him, you play him. Jackson Merrill, I think you could use. He usually always eats, but I don't see him as a high-end scorer. I think that he's someone that you could put in your lineup, and you know what you're going to get out of him. I also like Heacock and McIntosh. Those guys as well, they've been doing pretty decent. So if you're looking for some depth, the Cannons usually give up a fair amount of goals. You could also use Modernsky defensively. I'm not super sold on him, but, And in this, Connor Farrell to me is a lock. I think that if you have him, you play him. Just because, Reisman is in for the Cannons. He went 25% to 55% to 15%. So can't really trust him all too much. And with the second to last matchup, we have the Chaos and the Redwoods. So this is the second game for both teams. For this, it's going to look a little different to me. I think that Mac O'Keefe is pretty fantasy viable. He's not a lock like Byrne and Reardon are, but I do like Mac O'Keefe. I like him a little bit more than Cloutier in this for some weird reason. I just have a good feeling. Maybe it's because of the fact that Tim Troutner sometimes struggles against the 2-ball. He's a good stick matcher. But sometimes has a little bit of issue there. I think that they won't be having the ball all too much, so, how much are you really going to be able to fucking get the ball down there and use them? I like Jake Ficarro here, too, for some reason. I like him better than Burns in this. I think that he plays better against the Redwoods in this situation. And I still like Dane Smith, but, I think that Ficarro might be the better option in this specific one. And then Troy Ray as well, that LSM role doesn't really change too much in this matchup. Redwoods-wise, T.D. Erlin, Pennell, Jones, those are my 3 locks. I like Garrett Apple just because I have a feeling that the Redwoods are going to struggle against, not struggle, but Reardon will make his saves, obviously, and then there will be some transition. So even though they're not going to win a lot of faceoffs, Blaze Reardon is still, to me, the best goalie in the league. So you'll see some transition going the other way. And I like Jules and Cav. I think Troutner is a good play in this situation as well because of the fact that it's only going to be going one way off of the transition. They won't really be winning faceoffs, and the fact that that he'll have to match Blaze, and if Blaze shows up, Troutner's got to show up. So I feel like it's going to be a bit more of a defensive battle in this. That's why I like Apple. I still think you could use Jules and Cav. I like Jules more than Cav. And the final regular season game, we have what I think is probably one of the best matchups, is the Whipsnakes and the Atlas. I'm sorry, the Whipsnakes and the Archers. God, excuse me. There was a prior meeting between these two teams. I'm going to bring it up real quick because I would like to talk about it. Locks on the Archer side for me, Grant Ament, Dominic Hasek, or Graham Hasek, Dominic Hasek, fucking goaltenders. Graham Hasek and Tom Schreiber. I do really like them in this specific matchup. Schreiber, I think last time ate pretty well. I like Will Manny just because, Grant Ament. I don't have him as a lock though. I like Marcus Holman. I like Ratliff. I like Gittleman. Guys who you kind of see. Will Manny last time scored 4 goals, had 5 points. Schreiber last time had 2 goals, 2 assists. Ament had 2 goals, 2 assists. So I'm thinking, they're gonna fucking eat. Graham Hasek had 3 cause turnovers, 1 ground ball. McMahon actually did pretty well. So maybe if you're kind of riding with that. Last time Ratliff struggled pretty decently. So the only problem I have here is, I think that Nardella is a lock. I think that he's going to absolutely kill, more or less, Stephen Kelly, with all due respect. So Earnhardt's probably going to be getting more ground balls. I like Gutterding in this. I would lock him in, to be honest. I think that he could be fucking solid, especially when with all those face-off wins. I think that he's got a fucking, after he gets the game under his belt, he's going to have a fucking, he's going to put some fucking targets on backs. I like Zeddy as well. I think they'll work well together. Brad Smith, Shannon Chuck, I like as well in the midfield stance. Earnhardt, like I said, and then Young and Dunn you could use. And finally, we have my lineup of the week. So defensively, Jake Pulver, he is, I think, second in the league in caused turnovers. We have Graham Hasek. I have a feeling that he's going to play well in the 2 games that he's playing this weekend. And then Liam Burns leads the league and cause turnovers, therefore he's got to go there. A guy who was right at the the end of my mind is Brody Merrill because of the amount of ground balls he gets. Midfield wise, defensively, Joel White, that's my number 1 guy. Earnhardt for ground balls you could go. He might be my number 2, but Joel White I'm locking in as my number 1. Face-off wise, TD Erlin, he's got 2 good matchups against teams that aren't super strong at he's got 1 matchup where he's got to go up against Nardella, so that'll be closer to 50-50, but then against the Chaos, that'll be a pretty easy day for him. And that short stick D-mid, if you want to put it this way, we have Zach Currier, like I said, all around, just absolute fucking monster on the field. Offensively, I didn't put him as a lock, but I have a real good feeling about him. I'm putting in Paul Rabel. I think that this last week speaks volumes for his character. I like Miles Jones to bounce back as well. I think that this weekend he has some breakout games going into the playoffs. And Tom Schreiber, to me, against the Whipsnakes, he's going to have to show up. And against, what was the other team that they were playing? For sure he's going to have to show up against the Whipsnakes. And the Chaos, I feel like he'll do well just because they'll have the ball a lot. And finally, offensively, this is a pretty easy one for me. Teat, there's no reason to not put in Teat. Ament, there's no reason not put in Ament. And Pennell, there's no reason not put in Pennell. Attack is definitely the easiest to read. Those are my locks, and those the attack is a lock. Like that is a lock. I like this structure a little bit better. I've been able to kind of cut every segment, so I've run it down game by game, and then I have this little ending segment where I put in my best players of the week. If you fuck with it, let me know. If you listen to it, let me know. Give it a fucking thumbs up, subscribe, whatever fuck. If anyone wants to hop on the pod, let me know. I know no one listens to this, but if you do, fucking, what's going on, dog?